Good morning. It's Friday morning on October 16th. I know the date now. Tomorrow's my son's birthday, so I know it's October 16th. So, happy birthday early to him. He's not out there, but 29. 29. He thinks he's old. Yeah, yeah. High school, right? Yeah. And then college, and then grad school, and then all of a sudden, yeah. We all know. All of a sudden, they're grown up, right? Is anybody out there? Just tell me if you can hear me. We're getting ready to start yoga flow in a minute here. So if anybody's there, just give me a heads up. I'll try to speak up. I don't know why lately the sound has been really iffy. I give up. But take your time. Let yourself get comfortable at home. So if you know you prefer, good morning, to sit up on a blanket, grab a blanket and sit on a blanket. If you feel better to sit up higher, it's fine. If it feels good in your hips to be up a little bit, do it. You can stretch your legs out if you want, or you can be cross-legged. That's up to you. Just let yourself settle in. Thank you. Thanks, Nancy. And then close your eyes and really just enjoy feeling your breath coming in and going out through your nose. See if you can imagine breathing equally in and out through the right and left side of your nose so you feel kind of balanced with your breath there. And if you're comfortable to come into deeper breaths, coming into those three-part breaths if you're able, not forcing the breath, but letting yourself feel the belly rise a little bit, come up through the ribs, up towards your chest. And then just let your breath carry you forward and back. Let your exhalations bring you forward and your inhalations bring you on back up. So take your time letting the breath carry you. And the next time you end up forward, let yourself stay forward. Whether you want to put your hands there, give yourself support and stay up higher, or perhaps you want to walk your hands out farther, let yourself come farther forward over your legs. But be mindful how your back feels. If you can let your head hang, do. Releasing, maybe even turning your chin a little bit one way and then the other. And then let your torso shift towards one side and then the other, keeping your hands at center, but just letting yourself shift a little bit from side to side with the upper body. And then come on back to center. And we're going to rise on back up, walking the hands on back, letting the fingertips come out beside us on the floor. Let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Now lift your elbows up. Feel your hands connecting a little more, your fingers, your thumbs, your palms. Feeling the wrists there. And then you're going to start to circle your hands. Let your fingertips come forward and then come to the outside edges of your thumbs. Let the back of the hands come together. And then keep circling here. So you're keeping your hands connected. Moving through with these circles, letting your wrists get a little action here. Don't push really hard, but feel that connection staying there as you circle through. We're going to stop and reverse the circle. So when you're ready, let yourself just reverse and go the other way. Again, staying connected as you can through your hands. And then next time you get to where your hands can come together, palms together at your chest, let yourself stay there. And then we'll release our arms back down beside us and start to walk your hands back so that you come into opening the front body here, opening the chest. Draw the chest forward, shoulders back. Really enjoy. Look where it feels good for your neck. If you feel like looking up a little bit, do. Maybe you feel better to keep your chin parallel to the floor. One more breath. And then we'll rise on back up. Fingertips out beside us. Let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And unfold your arms. We're going to switch the cross of the legs if you're cross-legged. If you're not, that's fine. You can keep your legs long, whatever feels better for your hips. And then again, we're going to start to move forward and back with our breath. So letting your exhalations bring you forward and your inhales bring you back. See if you can feel your feet on the floor, whether it's the outside edges of your feet if you're cross-legged, or maybe your heels if you've got your legs stretched out. And just easily move through, again, following the breath, exhaling forward and inhaling back up. And then again, the next time you come forward, bring your hands there to support you, wherever you choose to be, up higher or walking further out with your hands, coming farther forward if that feels good to you. Let your head release. Again, if you want to move your chin a little side to side, do. And then as you come back to center, let the torso come a little one way and the other, like we did on the other side. So just coming into shifting, swaying a little bit side to side. And then end up back at center again. And we're going to walk our hands on back up again, releasing the arms on out beside us, fingertips lightly touching the ground. Lengthen up through the top of your head. And let your next inhale rise your right arm all the way out and up overhead. Turn your palm up. Press up into the heel of your hand. And then come over into side stretch. Keep pressing up into the heel of the hand so you feel even more space there through the right ribs. Feel the breath coming in to expand the spaces between the ribs there on your right side. And then we'll rise back up to the top, lower that arm on down, and we'll inhale the left arm all the way out and up. And again, turn your palm up, press up into the heel of the hand. As you come over and decide, keep pressing up, reaching down with your left sitting bone, pressing up through that left heel of your hand. Lots of space there through the side body. One more breath. And then we'll rise on back up and lower the arms on down beside us. This time, clasp your hands behind you and squeeze your palms towards each other if you can, as long as it doesn't bother your shoulders. Let yourself open up there. And then let your hands release on back down beside you. Lift the hands up enough to circle your wrists around a little bit. And then reverse and go the other way. And then let your hands shake. Let your hands shake out a little bit. And we're going to come on around towards our hands and knees. So take your time. Grab a blanket if you need to for underneath your knees or your hands or both. And get situated there, hands underneath your shoulders or fists. So if your wrists bother you, come on up to your fists. Take that wrist crease away out of the picture. And then just let your feet go over to the left and look back over your left shoulder towards your feet. And then we'll come back into center with the head and the feet. And we're going to bring the feet to the right and look over the right shoulder back And let yourself come into that little side there, stretch. And then we'll come back into center. And let's send our right foot back behind us on the floor. Curl the toes under. Engage the belly here. Press equally into your hands. And really let yourself feel and experience the opening of that the back of that right leg. And then we're going to switch and go to the left leg back. So flexing the foot, letting yourself enjoy opening up the back of that left leg. Engage your belly. Good, and then we'll bring that knee back. Bring the right foot back again. Lift it up a little bit, about parallel to the floor. Get your hands to a place where you feel really comfortable as you exhale to bring your knee in towards your face, rounding up into your back. And then when you inhale, come back into reaching back to that long leg. So exhaling, drawing your face in towards your knee. Inhale, reaching back long. And then one more time, exhaling, rounding up into that back. This time when you reach back with your leg, see about stretching your left arm forward, coming into a little balance there. And then we'll bring the hand down and bring the knee down. We're going to send the left foot back on the floor. And then start to float that leg on up, really letting yourself get your hands at a place where you're okay to be. And now as you exhale again, round up into that back, drawing the knee in. And on the inhale, stretching back into that long leg. Exhaling, rounding up like you're coming into cat. And inhaling, reaching back. And one more time, exhaling, drawing that knee in. And as you reach back with the leg this time, if you can stretch your right arm forward, do. And then we'll bring the hand down, the knee down, and shift back towards pose of a child. Big toes together, knees apart. Now you can come to your forearms if you need to. You can shift all the way back with your hips towards your heels. Let your arms be soft, though. Let yourself just enjoy releasing now. Think about your heart melting down towards the ground. So you really release there in the upper back. Good. We're going to come on back up to all fours here, and we're going to step our left foot forward and come into our first lunge. So as you know, grab your blocks if you need. Let yourself come on up into getting the feet hips distance apart so that you're not like on a tightrope, and you've got yourself really easily into your hips here. See if you can lift your left heel up off the floor so you have some weight in your hands, whatever height you're at. And then bring that left heel on back down. And we're going to switch legs and come to the other side. So bringing that right foot forward, getting yourself set up in your lunge, whatever height you want to be with your hands. And then floating that right heel up so you come a little more into your quad there. Let yourself enjoy. Feel the feet in the floor, feel the length through the spine. Good. We'll lower the heel on back down. And we're going to switch legs again. And this time, see if you can lower your right knee down to the floor. And you can use your blocks any height you want. Shift your hips forward just a bit so that you come into pressing into the top of that right foot back there and opening up the front of the right hip. Good. And then we're going to curl the toes under, lift back up into lunge, and we will switch to come to the other leg. So again, this time, bringing that back knee down. And again, you can get any height in those blocks. If you can shift forward, don't force it, but just feel a little more openness in the front of that left hip. Press into the top of the toes a little bit. And then we'll curl the toes under. And again, lifting that back knee up. From here, we'll step forward and come into standing forward bend. Feet, hips distance apart and parallel. Use support if you want. Blocks under your hands. Elbows above the knees if that feels better for your back. See if you can lift all your toes up here in your standing forward bend. And see if you can make sure that you're not rolling either to the inside or the outside of your feet, Sometimes it helps to actually put your hands on your feet and really feel like you're pressing into the base of the big toe mound and the base of the little toe mound equally, the inner and outer heel. Let the toes float on back down. Let yourself come into your breath. So receiving your breaths both in and out. Let go of your face. Let everything feel soft there, all around your eyes, your mouth, your jaw. One more breath here. And then we'll bend our knees, press equally into our feet, and rise up to standing. We'll inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Coming into your mountain pose here now. So adjust however you need to. If you need to walk a little bit in place, do it. If you need to get your feet a little different distance apart. Letting the hands come together. See if you can look down at your hands for a second. Let your thumbs come in towards your breastbone. Exactly where is not, there's no right or wrong. Where you feel really good in your shoulders. And on the next inhale, go ahead and float your head on back up. Whether your eyes are opened or closed, imagine you're looking out at the horizon. Feeling very balanced between your feet. Imagine you're really equal between the right and the left side of your body, and even between the front and the back of your body. So there's a balance. And let's bend our knees a little bit and release our arms down beside us. And now press into your feet and inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, coming forward, letting yourself come into your standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find a nice long back. Lengthen out through your spine. And we'll step the right foot back and come into lunge here. And inhale. Exhale into downward facing dog pose. So whether you're doing the full dog with your hands on the floor, or maybe you have your hands on blocks, feel your elbows hugging towards each other. Reach back through your sitting bones equally. Really enjoy finding your dog. And then slowly walk a little bit. Let one knee bend. And before you switch, give that long leg time to experience that nice length, that nice stretch down the back of the leg. And now come back to your full dog, whether your legs are straight or bent. And on the next inhale, we'll come on out to plank. Nice and strong plank. And see if you can. Lift your hips up a little higher. And then come on back into your plank where you feel like you're more straight. But try not to drop into the belly. And then we'll lower our knees down. And we're going to come on down to the floor. Elbows right by the ribs. And let's slide the forearms underneath us. Elbows under the shoulders. Coming into Sphinx Pose here. And you know if it's too high to bring the elbows under your shoulders, you can slide them back down by the waist and not come up so much. Finding where you can be, bringing your gaze between your hands or slightly forward of between your hands if that feels good. Now we're going to come back down to our belly, but as you do, stretch your arms out into a wide V, like you're reaching towards the corners of your mat. Let yourself come on down. And now when you inhale, float your arms and legs, maybe your head and your chest up as well, a little bit. Using the back body here. And then lowering down, bringing the hands back by your chest. We're going to come on back into down dog. So you can come through that half push-up we went down through, or you can come through a full. Or you can come to your hands and knees. And we'll bring our right foot forward to find lunge here. And put your left knee down if you need to get there. And then we'll come on back into our standing forward bend. Now let the knees bend a little bit here. And imagine you're trying to widen your mat with your feet. So press your feet a little away from each other, but don't roll to the outsides when you do it. And then walk your hands over to the right. Maybe towards the outside of your right foot a little bit. Doesn't have to be that far. Might be just a little less or more. And then come on back through center and over towards the left. Keep the feet pressing gently away from each other. And then we'll come on back into center again. And let's bend our knees here. Press into our feet and rise on up. And inhale the arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's clasp our hands. Send your palms out away from your chest. And let yourself try not to roll forward with your shoulders. And then as you inhale, start to rise the arms up, only as high as your shoulders let you go. So take your time. Go to the place where your shoulders really tell you to stop. Feel the feet in the floor. And then we'll come over to the left into a bit of a side stretch. So let yourself just press into the heel of the hand like we did earlier, but now you've got both hands up there. And we'll come on back, and we're going to go to the other side. Good. And then we'll come on back up to the top. Now, if you're okay to look up, you can look up towards your hands. And on your next exhale, open the arms wide and come on forward into your standing forward bend. Let your inhale lengthen out your spine, nice flat back. Actually, put your hands on your shins. Use your hands a little bit. Press into the shins. Lengthen back through your tailbone, out through the top of your head. And we'll step the left foot back and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Good. Let's come on out to plank. And again, we'll lower down, and you can put your knees down first or not. That's up to you. Coming on down as one piece. And we'll come into a little cobra, floating on up. You can go higher if you choose, or you can stay right here. You can stay low. You can press into your hands. Feel your elbows hugging in. Come up higher. And then we'll release and come on back down. And we're going to make our way back to down dog. Again, however you choose to get there. And we'll bring our left foot forward to find lunge here. So again, you can put the right knee down if you need to. And let's come all the way back into standing forward bend. Full deep breaths. If you're okay to hold your elbows, let your hands just float on up. And if you know that doesn't feel good, you'll know as soon as you do it, right? If your back doesn't allow that, don't do it. Holding the elbows if it feels good. Coming into those nice full breaths. Accepting inhales and exhales and letting yourself just be with the breaths. Try not to force it. And let's release our hands back up to our hips, bend our knees, and rise straight on up. We'll inhale the arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's unfold our arms, bring our hands behind us, clasp our hands together. And like we did when we were sitting, squeeze your palms towards each other. Elbows can bend as much as you need. Just squeeze the palms, feel your biceps engaging. Make sure you're feeling your tailbone drop down, so you don't want to tuck it up under you, right? You want to let yourself feel that alignment there of the spine. And then go ahead and let your palms come apart. Send your hands down so the arms come pretty long. Inhale. And on the exhale, we'll bend the knees and come on forward. Now, whether you stay parallel to the floor with a flat back with the knees bent, or maybe it feels fine to fold over your legs, whether they're straight or bent. And you can decide about releasing your arms off your back, listening to your own shoulders. And then we're going to release our arms on down. And let your next inhale lengthen out your spine. Exhale, right foot back into lunge. And inhale, exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Next inhale will carry us to plank. And the exhale will lower us down. And we'll inhale into our Cobra of choice and exhale back to down dog. Inhale, exhale right foot forward into lunge and inhale. Exhale into your standing forward bend. Bend your knees, rise up with your arms carrying you all the way up to the top with the breath. Exhale, folding forward. Let your inhale lengthen out your spine. Exhale, left foot back to lunge and inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog pose. Inhaling out to that plank, letting your exhale carry you down. Let your inhale bring you into your Cobra of choice and exhale back to down dog. Inhale, exhale left foot forward into lunge and inhale. Exhale into your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rise up, arms flowing to the top. And let your exhale carry you forward. Inhale into that long back. We're going to come into down dog. Place your hands. You can walk, you can jump. Come into dog however you choose. Now, see if you can wag your tail a little bit. Just a little. And as you do, you can kind of bend your knees or bend one knee at a time if that's better. And then come on back into center. Elbows hug towards each other. Really find your dog here. Like imagine you're trying to make your mat wider with your feet. So you're pressing the feet away from each other as your elbows hug in. It's great when dog feels like a resting pose, isn't it? We're going to bring the left foot forward and have both your blocks handy here. We're coming up for warrior two. So let yourself get aligned here with your heels. Take your time, bend that front knee. Let yourself really feel the feet in the floor. And go ahead and bring your left arm over your right. Give yourself a hug. Let yourself feel the elbows melt down. You can stay right here. You can head towards eagle wrap if you choose to release your shoulders more deeply. And if that doesn't feel like it's releasing your shoulders more deeply, don't do it. Good. Breathing between the shoulder blades on your back. And then we'll release the arms down. We're going to inhale the arms all the way out and up into those warrior two arms, reaching out through the fingertips. Really softening the tops of the shoulders. Let yourself enjoy feeling those muscles that come wrapping around under your arms. Those are the ones that are holding you up instead of the tops of your shoulders. And then let's turn that left palm up and inhale, reach up towards the sky. Let the right hand slide a little more down if you can, that leg back there. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll come into side angle. So your left hand or forearm onto your thigh, swinging that right arm up into line if your shoulder lets you. For a second, look down towards your left foot there on the floor. Press down into that left forearm if you can. And imagine drawing your left outer hip back. And then slowly start to turn your gaze back to look forward again. Good. And we're going to bring our right hand down onto our right hip. Look down and take a block, or maybe you want to use your leg to put your hand on for triangle. So bring yourself to two blocks if you want. You can stack blocks up so you're higher, right? Or you can be down on one block or down on your leg. And start to straighten that left knee out. Extend your torso. Keep looking at your left foot. Extend your torso out over that front leg. And then go ahead and turn your gaze to look forward and bring your right arm up, straight up from your shoulder if you can, in your triangle pose. Good. One more breath. Now we're going to turn to look at the floor again. We're going to come into lunge, so bringing your hands down, maybe to the blocks, maybe to the floor. Find your lunge really well here. And then we're going to walk around into a wide-legged forward bend. So as you start to turn and get the feet more parallel and walk yourself through, keep going over towards your right foot. So once you get into your wide legs, go towards the right. Let yourself stay there for a breath. And then come on back through center, and we'll go walking over towards the left. Once you get to where you want to be there with your breath. And then walk yourself on back into center. Bend both your knees and let your elbows rest right above your knees for a second. You can touch the tips of your fingers and thumbs together. Just be easy. Let it feel good. And then go ahead and release where you need. If you want to grab blocks to put underneath your forearms or your hands or your head, do. Or perhaps you want to bring your hands back more into line. Your fingertips are in line with the tips of your toes if you feel good to do that. And then just watch again the breath in and out. Imagining your inhales and exhales are equally important. One more breath. And then we're going to walk our hands on back out so we can walk back to our left foot. Coming on back into lunge, and we'll make our way back into down dog from here. Once you're in dog, walk a little bit to the tops of your feet. Press down into the top of one foot at a time, into the tops of the toes, 1 foot at a time. Really stretch your feet out. Good. And then we're going to come out to plank. See if you can lift your right foot up a little bit up off the floor on a three-legged plank. And then lower it down and try the left. And then lower it down. And you decide from here, do you want to lower down and come into an up dog or a cobra? Totally up to you whether you even do that. Remember, up dog can be done on the tops of the feet or toes curled under. And then we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. Good. And let's bring the left foot forward and come into lunge. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend. And breathe here a little bit. Again, hold your elbows if you can. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips. We're going to bend our knees and rise up. Inhale the arms out and up overhead. And on the exhale, we're going to fold forward again. Let your inhale lengthen out your spine. And we're going to walk back into down dog. So take your time. Come on back into your downward facing dog pose. Good. And from here, we're going to bring the right foot forward. And we're coming up for warrior two on the other side. So again, have your blocks handy. Let yourself line up your heels. Take your time. Get yourself set there. Take your time to bring that left arm under the right and give yourself a hug once you get your legs set. Make sure that right knee is where you want it to be. And then again, you can stay here. Breathing into between the shoulder blades. You can head towards an eagle wrap or half wrap. So imagine breathing into between the shoulder blades on your back. Feet are equal in the floor. We're going to release the arms on down now. And inhale, rise the arms up. Again, imagine the arms are being held up from underneath, not on top. Softening the tops of the shoulders as you reach out through the fingertips. Reaching back through the left, forward through the right. Good. We're going to turn the right palm up and inhale. Let your left hand slide a little down that back leg if you can. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll come into that side angle. So hand or forearm right above your knee there. Swinging that left arm up in line if you can. If your shoulder doesn't like that, put your hand on your hip. It's fine. You can be up on your hand instead of your forearm. Look down at your right foot for a second. Let yourself, again, really press into that hand or forearm if you can. Draw your outer right hip back. And then go ahead and look forward again. Let yourself find the full pose here. Find that length through both sides of the body. And then let's lower our left hand down onto our left hip. Look down at your foot again. We're going to set that right hand down for triangle. Remember, whether it's on your leg or two blocks or a block, lengthen that right leg. Extend your torso out over that right leg. Make sure you're not rolling on your right foot. You can lift your toes up if it helps. And then start to go ahead and turn to let yourself look forward. Bring your top arm up if you choose. Bringing that right hand up from the shoulders. Thighs engaging up towards the hips. Lengthening out through the top of your head. Good. One more breath here. And then we're going to turn to look down. We're going to find lunge. So make your way into your lunge here. And from the lunge, we're going to walk around again into that wide-legged forward bend. So you can use your blocks or you can just let your hands walk on around. And again, once you get there, let the hands keep going towards the left. And this time, once you get over as far as you want towards the left, let your left hand come on up to your left hip. You can roll the shoulder up if you want. And then come on back down with that hand. We're going to come on back through center, and we're going to go the other side. So again, once you get there, right hand comes on up. Whether you add that little rotating the shoulder up, that twist or not is up to you. And then come on back down with the hand. Next time you get into center, walk your hands out so you have a flat back. Press the feet away from each other like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet. And then see if you can walk your hands out even farther, like you're doing down dog, so that you start to let your heart melt down a little towards the ground. And then walk the hands back, and you decide. Stack your blocks up. Use the blocks if you want for your forearms so that you can release your upper body here. Or bring your hands back wherever you choose. Between your feet, behind you if you want to walk your hands back behind you. Or maybe you want to hold on to your ankles. Shifting to put your forearms right there in front of your shins. But just be mindful, and once you get to where you can be with your breath, you want to get to where you can release the upper body as fully and deeply as you can. And then accept again those breaths. See if you can extend your exhales out a little longer than your inhales. And at the end of your exhales, see if you can draw your low belly, as low as you can get, in a little bit before you inhale again. And finishing the one you're on. Let your hands walk on back out. And we're going to walk back to that right foot. Come on back into lunge. And we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose here. Now, if you want to do a child's pose right now, do it. If you want to come into a vinyasa or a kriya, you can come out for a plank and move through for a back bend, or you can put your knees down and rest. So take your time. Follow what your own body feels like doing today. And then we'll meet back in down dog. So once you're back in your down dog, really let yourself reach back through those sitting bones. Beautiful. And then from here, we're going to bring our left leg up in the air, coming into a little three-legged dog. Flex through that foot. And then we'll bring that left foot on forward and through. We're coming up for warrior one this time. So again, as you start to square your shoulders to the front of the mat, actually lean forward, put your hands on your left thigh. So you're up pretty high. Get that back foot adjusted so you're turned out maybe 20, 30 degrees with your foot. And now start to just rise yourself on up, shoulders over hips, hands to your heart. Letting yourself bring your gaze on forward. Feel that back foot fully in the floor. Good. Shoulders are square. Feet are very even in the mat. We're going to release our arms on down and inhale the arms forward. Rise them up overhead. You can widen them out as much as you choose. You can start to bring your gaze up if you choose to do that. Think about the pinkies turning in towards each other a little bit. And then from here, we're going to release. Come all the way back down into lunge. So you may want your blocks, you may not. Depends on you. Release that right heel directly behind and add your twist of choice. So left hand can come to the left hip. You can rise the arm up from your shoulder. You can keep your hand down. You can do twisted prayer if you'd rather bring your right elbow across towards that left knee. One more breath. And then we'll come on back into lunge, and we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose from here. So again, knees down if you want, coming out to plank if you choose. Remember, you don't have to do the back bends. Ease your way to where you feel comfortable. And then we'll meet back in downward facing dog pose. And this time, right leg's going to come up in the air. Three-legged dog. Turn the toes down. Really flex the foot. Now, feel equal through your hands. If you have to adjust your hands a little bit, do. And then we'll bring that right leg on forward, coming up into that warrior one with the back leg. Stay forward. Keep your hands kind of on your thigh. And let yourself get set with that back foot where you feel really good to be. And then when you think about starting to rise up, feel that openness in the front of the left hip. Bringing your hands to your heart. Good. And then we'll unfold our arms, and we'll inhale the arms all the way out and up. Again, you can widen them. Pinkies turn towards each other. Bring that lift there right underneath the shoulder blades. Doesn't mean you have to do a huge back bend. Just imagine you have a bar right at the base of your shoulder blades. And you're just lifting right up over that a little. One more breath. And then we'll come on back down. We're going to come into lunge again, remember. So releasing that heel now directly behind your foot and adding your twist, right hand on up to the hip or the low back, or reaching your arm on up. Or, of course, you can do twisted prayer. Left elbow to that right knee. Good. One more breath. And then we'll release and come on back down and back to down dog. Final vinyasas or kriyas if you want to do any. So now's your chance. If you want to come into any planks, move through for any up dog, however you choose. Good. And then we'll meet back in down dog. And from here, let's separate our feet wider on the mat. Let yourself really press back out of your hands. Hug your elbows towards each other. Reach back through your sitting bones. And then bend your knees and walk your hands back. Now, you may decide to let your elbows come to rest above your knees. Or you may feel like you want to squat down lower. So if coming down into a squat of any kind feels good to you, let yourself come down. Use support however you need. Let yourself release your back, your low back and your hips, but be really mindful of your knees and how this feels on your knees. Take your time. Let it feel like a huge release. Good. And then we'll come on forward so we can get our feet underneath us. So let your hands shift forward so you can get your feet right underneath you. And then we'll bend our knees, press into our feet. We're going to rise up and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down as the top of our head reaches up. So really imagine that string attached to the base of the spine, coming up and out through the top of the head, and somebody's pulling that string upward, but very easily, all that space in your spine. And then just watch your breath. Let your breath settle down the body. And then we'll unfold our arms on down beside us and shake out. Move through however you want. We're going to bring our mats into a wall. If you're at home and you don't have a wall, it's okay. We're going to just touch the wall a little bit. You can use anything you have at hand. So if you're, kitchen counter or a table or something that you can put your hand on. So we'll come into a little tree pose, left hand towards the wall. And take a look. Before you lift your right foot up, look at your supporting left foot. And just make sure that you're not turning the toes way, way far towards the wall, right? You want to be as parallel as you can. You can be a little turned out if your hip feels better doing that. And then once you bring your right heel in to the inner ankle and then bring the foot up to your inner calf for a second, feel the lift in the front of the left hip. You might even try letting go of the wall with the foot low like this. And you may want to stay here, right? There's nothing that says tree pose needs to be forcing your hip to bring the foot up to your inner thigh. But some people it feels even better to do that. So bringing your foot whatever height you feel good to be, bringing your gaze forward and deciding if you can let yourself release maybe hands to your heart. And if you feel comfortable to rise the arms up overhead, do. If your shoulder feels okay to do that. You can even bring your hands together in tree pose, clasp them, and send your pointer finger up if that mudra feels really good for you in tree pose and very balancing. And then we're going to release that foot on down, hand to the wall, bend your right leg, bend your left leg too. So the right foot comes behind you. And then from here, if you can reach back and get your foot, do. Keep your left knee bent for a second, right? And let yourself press the right foot into your hand. And now with your knee bent, imagine your chest coming forward as your knee comes back a little bit. So you're keeping that left knee a little bent. So you're not locking it. And then you can decide, do you want to come into that left arm coming off the wall? Do you want to balance a little bit here? Do you feel better just to keep your hand at the wall? You can reach more forward with that left hand, or you can bring the arm up higher. And then we're going to release and bring that right knee all the way forward and use your right hand to kind of pull the knee in towards your chest. You're just standing up and pulling that right knee in. And then we're going to put the right foot down and shake out that left leg before we turn around and do the other side. So, tree pose first. So getting yourself, again, really where you feel like that right foot is not way turned out. You can turn your toes a little bit towards the wall. Depends on your hips. And then bring the left heel into the inner ankle. See if you, from there, when you bring the foot to the inner calf, maybe you can balance a little bit with it low. Maybe not. If you need to put your foot down, do it. And if you're one that it feels even better to reach down and draw that left foot up higher into the inside of your thigh, just make sure you're up above your knee or below your knee. And you can take your time, adjust if you want. Arms can go overhead. You can have your hands at your heart. If you need to put your foot down and readjust, by all means do it. And then we'll put our right hand back onto the wall, and we're going to bring that left foot behind us. Bend both your knees. Let the knee come back a little bit. If you can reach back and get your foot, do, but keep the right knee bent for a second. And then you can decide, as you start to come a little back with the knee, forward with the chest. Do you feel like you want to balance here? Do you want to let yourself come into your dancer's pose with a balance? Do you want to keep your hand for support there? Press the foot gently into the hand. Feel the quad. One more breath. And then bring your hand to the wall so you can draw that left knee now all the way up and forward, pulling it in towards your chest for a second. Finding a little relief there. Good. And then come on back down. Good. Shake out a little bit. Walk around. Walk through your feet a little bit. And we're going to come on down onto our bellies on the floor. So take your time. Come down. Let yourself release, if you can, onto your hands so that you stack your hands up, palms down. Rest your forehead there on your hands and bend your knees and let your feet circle. It doesn't matter how you do those feet circling. Do your own foot dance back there. And then let your lower legs come one side to the other. Good. And then come on back to center. Stretch your legs long. Curl your toes under and lift your knees up here. Feel how your tailbone curls down. Your knees are off the floor. You're stretching out the tops of your feet. The bottoms of your feet. And then go ahead and let your thighs come down and go back to pointing your feet. And let's come up into a little brief Sphinx pose. Elbows under the shoulders and spread your hands nice and wide. And then bring your hands together. Clasp them. And from here, we're going to shift back, walk our knees up a little bit, and just practice before we lift into dolphin. Practice pressing down into your forearms. Elbows hug towards each other. And instead of rounding up into your upper back, Imagine your heart melting down a little bit towards the floor. Elbows keep hugging in, trying to let go of that space between the shoulder blades. And then you can stay there, or you can lift up and walk your feet on up a little bit towards your face if it feels good to you, coming into your dolphin pose here. And if you're up here, see if when you inhale, you can rise your heels up. And when you exhale, you let the heels release back down towards the floor. So that changes the shoulders a little bit, right? When you inhale, you come more over, shoulders forward more, and then back, they come back. So one more breath now. And then we're going to release. We're going to come back down. Come back down through your forearm plank, and then go ahead and lower down. Make your pillow with your hands. Rest your head, and bend your knees again. Circle through your feet again. Good. And from here, let's roll onto our left side with our left elbow right under our shoulder. So we're on our forearm still. Make a loose fist with your left hand. Send it towards the front corner of your mat a little bit. And bring your knees forward. And this might be enough. You know, you might want to stretch your top leg out and keep your bottom knee bent and forward. And kind of lift your hips up a little bit there. Feel that forearm pressing into the mat. And that's a variation of a forearm plank. Or you can do the opposite. Stretch the bottom leg long, put the top foot on the floor, and lift your hips up and come into your side forearm plank. Or you can do a full one, right? Any one you choose. If anybody wants to do those curls, you can put your right hand behind your head. And when you exhale, draw your elbow down. And then inhale and bring it back up towards the sky. So if you want to do a little bit of moving there, you can. And then we're going to release to come on back down. And we're going to switch to the other side. So take your time, letting yourself release around onto the right forearm. Loose fist, send it forward a little bit so you have that bit of an angle. Knees forward at first and press down. So you're trying to think about these muscles that wrap around under your arms, kind of hollows your armpit feeling, right? And again, you can stretch the top leg out and stretch that top arm up and kind of lift your hips up a little bit, engage your belly. That's pretty good. That feels good. You don't have to do any further. Or you can stretch the bottom leg, put the top foot on the floor, and come into your side plank there, or your full side plank where you stack your feet or put the top foot a little in front of the bottom foot. And you can put your left hand behind your head. When you exhale, bring the elbow towards that right fist. Inhale, bring it back up. That's only if you want more. Good. We're going to finish off. We're going to come all the way back down to our bellies. Bring your arms down alongside you now. Turn your palms down towards the ground. And on your next inhale, float up into a little locust pose. Just let yourself easily release into your locust. Shallow breaths. And we're going to release back down. We're going to shift back towards pose of a child. So big toes together, knees apart, and you can stay somewhat forward or you can shift all the way back. That's up to you. Breathing into your low back. Good. And now, let's come on up to all fours. Now, if you know pigeon pose is not for you, you can turn over and lay on your back and do a figure 4 stretch. Let's bring our left knee forward towards the left front corner of the mat and stretch our right leg back behind us here now. So remember, grabbing, and I'll show you, grabbing a blanket and putting it underneath the bent leg side. If that little bit of support helps you square your hips off, then go ahead and put a blanket underneath that bent leg. Or you can even kind of sit on it all the way across if that feels better. And then once you're here with hands on the floor, think of lifting up, opening through the front of that right hip. And then we're going to ease our way forward. So letting yourself either come to your forearms or a block. You can grab a block. You can lay your head down onto your hands or the floor. Let yourself feel the pressing of the right top of your foot, top of your toes into the ground a little bit. Breathing into your low back here. Now, if you like adding a little twist in this, not for everybody, but if it feels good, you can come up and thread the needle with your right arm and come on down to the right side of your head. And you can put your left hand, kind of rest it on your low back. You don't have to. You can bring it around towards your foot back there if you want to. And you don't have to do this twist. That's totally up to you. Let yourself be where you can. Stay forward if you'd rather. One more breath. And then we're going to come on back up. We're going to come out of it to switch legs now. So how you do that, up to you. You can come back and do a down dog or just come to all fours and then bring that right knee forward. Whatever works to adjust your own body. And then again, if you feel like it sounds good to put a blanket underneath that right side, the bent leg side, do it so that you feel like you're even in your hips, right? That right knee angles a little bit. The right foot is in close to that left hip pointer bone there. And lifting up if you can at first so that you come up, you open through the front body, the opening of the front of the left hip there. Good? And then when you're ready to come forward, grab whatever you need. Blankets, blocks. You can put your hands on your head, hands down and your head on top of your hands, or you can let yourself release onto a block. Nice, easy breaths. Again, feeling the top of the left foot gently down into the floor. So see if you can literally expand your low back with your breath here. And that little twist is optional. So if you do want to come up a bit, thread the needle with your left arm this time. Come down onto the left side of your head. Again, you can let the right arm just lie gently. You can put the hand up on your low back. You can reach the right hand around if you want. So just be where you can, where your shoulders, and be aware of that right knee as well. So just be really mindful. One more breath here. And now once you come on back into center, this time we're going to shift, kind of roll over to your right hip and start to come up to stretch your legs out long into a wide-legged position here. We are going to come forward. So if you know it feels better to sit up on a blanket, grab a blanket. Bring your legs closer together if you need to so your knees and your toes can face upward. And you can always sit off on the floor so that your heels are on your mat if that's better for you too. It's really up to you. I like a block at the center because for me it just feels like a focus that I can think of, almost like my navel lifting up and over that block. So as you ease your way forward, feel your heels on the ground. Draw them back towards you a little bit, like you're pressing into the balls of your feet. as though you had a strap around the balls of your feet and you're pushing into it, and then easing your way forward. And it doesn't mean you need to go far, right? The whole angle really of the pelvis tilts. So now once you come forward, think about your sitting bones reaching backwards, kind of on a diagonal line, so that you're not tucking your pelvis up under you and trying to round forward that way, right? So just be mindful. Let yourself take your time and breathe. Sometimes after a few breaths, the legs kind of give up a little bit for you, and you can maybe release a little bit farther forward. But just be with your breath. You can stack blocks up, use them however you want as well. Or if you're at home, you could use anything you have. My favorite thing at home is a coffee table. To come forward, head towards a coffee table. Good. One more breath. And as we start to slowly come on back up, take your time. We're going to bring our hands behind us and let your hands walk back enough to where you can then just draw your chest forward and your shoulders back, opening through the front body here. And that might be different for everybody. You may want to put your hands flat on the ground. You may not. You may want to stay up on your fingertips. Keep the heels on the ground, draw them back towards you. Feel the sitting bones on the floor. And then we're going to come on back. Release your chin down towards your chest. Let yourself just release the back of the neck there, the upper back. And then we'll come on back up with the head. And we're going to bring our legs on around so we can lie down on our backs on the floor. Have a block handy in case you want it when we come down. Once you come on down, let yourself get your feet on the floor and a couple of little pelvic tilts, just easily as you exhale, curling your tailbone up a little bit. When you inhale, send the tailbone down a little bit, come back to that natural curve. So don't think about it being a big movement, right? It's actually very small, very deep. And then finish off so your spine is more neutral. Bring your arms down alongside you here now. And turn your palms down towards the ground. Press down into the arms, into the backs of your shoulders, into your palms too. And then release that. Bend your elbows and let your palms turn to face each other. And then press into the backs of the upper arms and roll your shoulders under. And then start to just float on up into a little bridge pose, pressing still into the backs of the arms. Once you get up as high as you want, try getting your elbows under you more. So your arms kind of wing out, your hands come out farther. You're pressing into the backs of the arms. Feel the back of your head gently coming into the floor. So you don't want to, bring your chin down so you cut off the throat here. Feel really open. You can come down whenever you want. If you have that block there and you feel like you'd rather do supported bridge, go right ahead. You can do a block or two underneath you, lowest height, middle height, highest height if you want. So take your time, and if you're doing full bridge and you want to come down and up from it, do. Or if you want to bring yourself down and come up into a full upward-facing bow pose, you can go ahead and come up into that full back bend if you choose. Good. So we'll slowly make our way down from here. Take your time as you come on down, back onto the floor, whether you're coming off a block or not. Bringing the knees in towards the chest. Let your knees come a little side to side. And then just bring your right ankle over the top of your left. Cross at your ankles. Separate your knees wider. Some of you might want to bring your hands around the outside of your legs and hold on to your feet and really pull the thighs in towards the outside of your ribs, right? If that feels good on your back and your hips, you can do that. Or not. You can stay farther out with the legs. And then let's switch the ankle that's on top. And then again, just if you can draw the legs in a little bit, or maybe you want to reach down and get your feet. Let that back release and the hips release. And then just take your time. Stretch your legs out towards the ceiling here now. Let your arms stretch overhead if you can. And then just let the legs come back and forth like you're doing a little bit of cross-country skiing there on the ceiling. Let everything release. Your body may choose to do something else. If it does, let it do it. Like if you want to separate your legs, if you decide you want to come into another movement or another pose of any kind, by all means do. If you want to come into a Baddha Konasana to release your hips or anything at all, just be mindful. I'm going to start to get the lights and give you time to settle down. So if you're at home and you know that a little bit of support would feel really good, start to look around yourself and get what you need. If you're here in the studio, I would be happy to bring you blankets or bolsters. You can always lie with your legs up the wall if you choose to. So take your time. Let yourself adjust however you need. Be mindful of letting your shoulders and your hips release. And just let yourself be with your own breath. Wave at me if you need a bolster, anybody. I'm still here. So accepting your breaths in and out. Watching your breath. And just give yourself the gift. It's a few minutes here, allowing your body and your brain to benefit from all you just did. Just let yourself completely and fully relax. gradually now, gently bringing yourself back to feeling the ground underneath you, supporting you again. Feeling your breath gradually deepen, lengthen, so that you start to feel yourself physically moving as you breathe in and out. And let your fingertips and your toes lead you. Your fingers, your toes wiggling a little bit so that you start to gradually move yourself up through your extremities. Moving into your arms, your legs when you're ready. You may even want to let your head roll side to side and come into moving the way you need, stretching or bending. Take your time. And you know you can stay on your back. You're welcome to roll to either your right or your left side if you're comfortable to do that, into a soft fetal position. Just giving yourself a little time to adjust. And when you do feel ready and okay to rise up to sitting, just take your time to get comfortable in how you are sitting and get your legs to a place where your hips feel really easy and it's easy to sit up nice and tall. Lengthening up through the top of your head and letting your eyes close gently so that you can come back to your breath. Feeling your sitting bones drawing downward, the top of your head reaching upward. And on your next exhale, bringing your hands gently together there in front of your chest. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste. Happy Friday, everybody.